My name is Aaron Miller, and this is my case study assignment. So, to summarize the case, we have Mr. Rhodes, who is a first year principal at Golden Oak High School. Um, Dr. Newman is the superintendent of the school district, and he met with Mr. Rhodes and he really wants him to improve attendance at Golden Oak High School. So, this has been kind of an ongoing problem for the last few years. They've seen a decrease in student attendance. They used to have a really, really good attendance rate, but now that is starting to decrease. So there are laws that provide students with 10 absences, meaning that their parents can excuse them for certain instances. After looking at that attendance data, there are 5 students who have exceeded their allowed 10 days of absences. So after doing some research, Mr. Rhodes has discovered that some staff are not properly recording attendance, and they are allowing certain students to have more days than they should be allowed. The students involved in this case have a wide range of reasons as to why they're absent, but overall they are still being allowed to miss more school than they should. There are some legal and ethical issues going along with this case. The first legal issue is the violation of the law that gives schools the responsibility to ensure that students are regularly attending school. So schools are liable to ensure that students are attending, and they are put in a position to ensure that they are being safe and being in school. Teachers are also responsible for accurately keeping track of attendance. In this case, this has been violated by numerous teachers on the staff as they are not accurately reporting students being gone, or they are approving absences for students. And so that is definitely a legal issue within this case. Along with the legal issues, there are definitely some ethical issues. So first, teachers and a school administrator have been approving absences that should not be permitted. In the cases of Tyrone, Christina, and John, teachers are approving absences that exceed the allowed number of days. That's showing some favoritism within this case, and that is definitely an ethical issue that needs to be addressed, and something that needs to be stopped. So in order to kind of summarize what is going on within this case, so rules and regulations are not being followed at Golden Oaks High School, which has been allowing students to miss school for reasons that should not be excused. That overall is the main issue going on in this case, and the one that needs to be fixed. So here are the facts. In this case, we have 3 different groups of people. So we have the staff of the school, we have the students of the school, as well as kind of the community parties that are involved. So some of the staff that are involved in this obviously is Mr. Rhodes as the principal. We have Superintendent Dr. Newman, the homeroom teacher for Tyrone, and the homeroom teacher for Christina. We have an algebra teacher for Christina, as well as our truancy officer and our athletic director. So all of those staff members have been involved in this case and play a role with it in some way. Our students that are involved, so these are the 5 students that have been identified for missing too much school. So that's Karen, Tyrone, Christina, Carl, and John. Now they range from freshmen to juniors. So we have a kind of a wide range of grade levels that this is affecting. Some of the people outside of the school is Karen's husband and parents. We see Tyrone's parents, a minister for Christina, Carl's parents and his siblings, as well as a physical therapist in one of the cases. All of this obviously is taking place at Golden Oak High School, which serves 965 students. Now the community has a pretty wide range as well. It is a prominently middle and upper middle class community, but there are some lower populations, so there are some poverty in this community as well. So we see all 3 different classes within this community. So the school has 11 sports programs, 31 clubs, as well as it is a 9 through 12 school. So that's kind of the programs in which we are dealing with this school. So those are the facts that we see in this case. After doing some review, and kind of thinking about why this is a problem, what's happening at Golden Oaks High School could be very damaging to the community and to the school. So if parents and students start to think that absences do not matter, more and more are going to start chronically missing school. Now, as educators, we know that it is very important that students are in school, and even missing 1 day a week can be really hard on those students. It affects their grades, it affects a lot of different areas. If the community kind of gets the idea that this attendance in school is not important, that really could be a problem with what could happen, and that could lead to bigger issues in the future. more stakeholders should be involved and consulted about this case. However, there's always more information to be learned. So a decision needs to be made as soon as possible in order to stop this situation and issue from getting worse. That's a big thing that very well could happen if this continues to go on for longer than it should. So looking at the options, there's three that we could really take in order to best solve this. So the first option is, of course, to do nothing. This continues to allow students to miss. This allows teachers to not take accurate attendance. Nothing could be done. And so if we do this option, nothing is going to be fixed. Option two is kind of a middle ground of the three options. Option two gradually makes some changes. So this kind of starts by not allowing teachers to approve absences except for an approved list of reasons. So it has to be on that list in order for a teacher to improve it. We really need to enforce with this plan teachers taking accurate attendance, but also providing consequences for teachers who are not following this. So that could be a plan of assistance, that could be a reprimand, that could be something, really in order to ensure that teachers are making changes rather than just not doing anything different. So that kind of option gradually makes some changes and gives the opportunity for in the future more harsher changes or some more strict rules to be put into place. Now, option three is definitely the biggest change, one of the most strict. What this does is this only allows office staff to approve student absences. Now, this does not just include the principal or a vice principal. This also includes like our attendance secretaries or anybody that's working in the office, because they are the ones that deal with that on a daily basis. So they would have that authority in the front office to approve student absences only. That takes that away from the teachers or anything else. Additionally, we would fully enforce the policy that's already in place that states that upon 5 unexcused absences in a class, teachers can subtract 10 points from the student's number of points for the quarter. So not only are teachers not approving absences in this, but they are also fully enforcing the already put into place school policy of if students are missing more than they should, their grade is going to be affected by that. So like I said, that option is definitely the strictest of the two options. However, it could be the one that produces the most change. So let's talk about the pros and cons of each of those options. So the pros of option one is that it does give more time for stakeholders to investigate. That gives more time for more people to be involved. This option does give freedom to teachers and parents. So, it allows teachers to do what they need to do. It allows parents to do what they need to do. And it keeps all parties happy just because currently people are happy with this system. However, the cons far outweigh these pros because this risks the situation getting far worse. Students and staff are also not being held responsible during this, and so that is definitely a huge problem with just allowing it to stay. Now, for the second option, there are some pros to that, which still gives staff some professional responsibility and allows them to keep some control of the situation, so that might keep staff more happy. Also eases parties into change, so it kind of slowly makes these changes rather than just one big change all at once. The cons, however, our students are still going to be allowed to miss more than they should, and we have that risk with that. But also we would see an increase in discipline issues with the staff, because if this plan were fully enforcing or giving consequences to teachers that are not enforcing it, then that means that that's more issues for the principal or for human resources or things like that. Now, the third option, the pros to this is that it limits who is allowed to approve absences. So that creates a smaller pool of people that's easier to control. When you have less people, it's easier to control. Office staff are going to be able to keep better data about that because they're the ones that are approving that. So we don't have all of these different people involved. And this option will improve attendance because if we only have a small number of people approving them, more students will be in school. Cons of this, though, staff might be upset with the changes, parents might be upset with the changes, and it also does create a little more work for some office staff as they are the ones that are the only people that can do that. So that creates more responsibility for some people in those departments. However, after thinking of these three options and thinking through that, it's clear that option 3 would be the best option to choose. The goal is to increase student attendance, and that plan is going to make that happen. Now, staff might be upset with these changes. However, this plan enforces the policy that's already in place. It holds individuals accountable. and it will increase attendance at Golden Oaks High School, which overall is the goal that needs to be done pretty quickly. So option 3 is going to be the best option to choose in order to make or just to resolve this issue. So in order to implement this, in order to make sure that this is done well, if I were the building principal, what I would first do is I would consult with a committee of teachers, so like the building leadership team, just to run this by them. These people are people in the school that have either been there for a long time, they're good leaders. They would be the first I would bring this to talk to them about what potential concerns would there be and hear them out and make some adjustments as necessary. Since this would be a second semester change at the in-service, the first in-service where teachers are back, I would introduce this problem. So I would talk to them about my findings. I would talk to them about why this is a concern, and then I would introduce the changes that are happening. I think it'd be very important to ensure that during this, I'm not accusing anybody, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm simply stating the facts and that this is what has happened and here's what we need to do to improve it and why we need to improve it. I would make sure that families are also shared the changes of this, so they need to also know what steps to take when they have to if their student is sick or things like that. So I would share with them the reason why, as well as the changes for the future and what needs to be done. Lastly, I would also look into hiring an additional attendance secretary that's going to help assist office staff with absence requests, approvals, documentation. So this person their whole job would be attendance, and so this would help to kind of take some of the burden off of myself as the principal, some of my assistant principals, or just some of our administrative assistants and secretaries in the office, and create a person that's more in charge of this, so that way it's less overwhelming at first. So that would be the main implementation for that second semester of school. Now, moving forward, obviously we need to make sure we are continuously looking back and seeing which ways we can make changes with this. So keeping track of the attendance for the second semester is going to be super critical. We need to see the data that we have as well as if it's working. Changes will also be made as they are needed throughout the semester. I want to ensure the office staff as well as the teachers feel that they can share concerns about this, because no plan will be perfect right off the bat. In order for this to work, we need to make some adjustments and hear people out. So I'd really ensure that teachers have that space to share that. If the plan's not working like it should after that first semester, over the summer, I would form a committee of staff members to kind of help dissect that issue and come up with some more effective solutions for this. So that way they feel that they have a voice in this and that it is not just as an administrator, I am, disciplining staff. Rather, it is a school-wide initiative of we are trying to improve attendance and we need to ensure that all of us are on the same page about this. So that way it is effective, because the only way for the plan to be effective is if we are continuously looking at the data and revamping things that need to be done.